welcome. My name is Jevgenij Rusakov and you're watching TVP World interview from Vilnius. Just the other day, President of Belarus Alexander Lukashenko gave an interview to the TV channel Rossiya. In this interview, he recalled everyone: Lithuania, Poland, NATO, Ukraine, Russia, Vladimir Putin, and further down the list. To discuss the most remarkable moments of this interview, we are joined today by the human rights activist and head of the Belarus Foundation, Andrej Stryzhak. Hello, Andrej, and thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Evgeny.
First of all, for whom is this interview intended? What kind of audience?
We understand that Russian TV channel are looking primarily from people from inside of Russia and such called Russian world. And I think that it's a main audition, it's a main audience which looking and which hearing this message in this interview are people from Russia and Russian politics and Russian elite. But I think that in general, this interview is created for cover some problems in Belarus and Russia common relationship.
That's interesting.
Because this Kursk invasion of Ukraine and some position of Lukashenko in this situation.
Okay, could you spread a bit more on this topic?
A little big background about this history is that Lukashenko, a few weeks before of this invasion of Ukrainian troops in Kursk region, said that all problems with Ukrainians are fixed, and he decided to cutting down quantity of troops in Belarus and Ukrainian border. And it can be reading like some signal for Ukrainian government. You can plan something else with Russian border, because Belarusian border is secure for you. Okay, it's a discussable question, because now Lukashenko says that I'm nothing to cut, I'm just changing, I'm just rotate or just resend my troops to border. But we see situations that in Ukrainian and Belarusian border, it's a very clear situation, it's quiet, and it's not dangerous for both sides. And we see situation in the Kursk region, in Belgorod region, in Bryansk region, in which Ukrainian trying to take some ground and trying to find some points in which they can to go in Russia. And in Kursk, it's a very good point for him.
Okay, so do you think that there might be, despite the nice picture that we see on the TV screens between Vladimir Putin and Alexander Lukashenko, there's a kind of a conflict between them?
I don't say about conflict, I say about some normal way of relationship between Russia and Belarus, between Lukashenko and Putin. It's very difficult relations for all this long time, because it's a different type of person. Lukashenko is guy from agricultural sector, and Putin is guy from some KGB sector, and they are not friends in real life. But they understand that it's one allies and it's one master of Belarus, and they need to be in a strong contact to something to fix in internal and external situation. And for this reason, I think that such big interest in all these interviews for Russian medias, Lukashenko take to figure of Putin, to role of Putin in all these processes.
Well, yes, he mentioned Putin loads of times in that interview. So, but by the way, do you think that Lukashenko likes Putin, or maybe he's afraid of Putin, or maybe he even envies Putin to some extent?
I think that Lukashenko looks on Putin like in some big instrument. You are not owner of this instrument, but you can use this instrument sometime in your own interests. And it's difficult because Putin, it's a subject, it's not object, and he has own interest in this situation. And Lukashenko trying to just be in the same way of thinking and looking on problem.
Okay.
Sometimes, but you cannot use it every time. But you can use it pointedly when you need something to fix or something to check in your own positions.
Okay, I see. Okay, let's come back to the interview. So it starts with a question about Lithuania. So is it just the opening of the interview, or is this issue of relations between Lithuania and Belarus is, well, actually quite acute for Belarus and for Lukashenko himself?
Now we see situation with three border countries of European Union, Latvia, Lithuania and Poland, and it's not the same position, not the same situation. And we see that Lithuania it's one of the best practice in this question. Latvians, I think that's most strictly forbidden some actions for Belarusians. And Lithuania and Poland, they are balanced in some question. You can to totally ban of border. Of course, it's possible, but it's an instrument too. You can use this instrument for some pressure, for some involve your activities inside of Belarus and inside of decisions which Lukashenko can make or not make. For example, it's decisions about some releasing of political prisoners or something so, or about some transit questions, or about some questions about export of potash or some special strategic goods. And I see that it's very important to Lukashenko to show for Russian audience that we are not contact with Polish guys, we are not contact with Lithuanians, they are poor, they are stupid.
We are together with Russia.
Yeah, we are only with Russia. But in a practice, we see that it's such type of real politics, and it's a line, and it's trying to be in some balance between Westerns and Easterns. But of course, this balance, it's not such possible after beginning of big war in Ukraine.
During the interview, Lukashenko justified his 30 years of presidency by arguing that not everyone understands the sense of presidency itself. So does this mean that he has decided to stay as a president until he dies or transfers power into safe hands?
You know, it's a question which I hear in maybe 4 times, because in 2006, 2010, 2015, 2020, and 2025, every time Lukashenko trying to play in this game. Okay, I'm so tired, I don't want to sit in this chair, I just want to quit from this situation. But if we see all these cycles before, Lukashenko every time says something like this, and then in the last time he said, okay, people just asking me. I don't want, but people just asking that I want
to say as a president.
Yeah, to repeat all this very strong work and very tired and doesn't want, but I will stay. Many political analysts saying that maybe it can be some changing places, like in a chess, with somebody in a near field, for example, Kachanov, for example, or for somebody from power part of government. It's from policy.
Are those reliable people for Lukashenko?
Yeah, okay, of course.
Can he count on them? I mean,
of course.
Do you think that they will just literally could take the president's chair and betray Lukashenko?
You know,
could that happen?
These changes in constitution, in internal balance of power, we see that many power can going to head of such called people assembly.
Okay.
And you know, I'm not exclude such variant in which Lukashenko can try to change own position from presidential chair to emperor. To this different chair, but it's the same situation. Lukashenko is the head of power, it's main. But I'm not imagine till end this, because presidential type of power in Belarus, presidential such called, it's not democratic presidential, of course, was built from 30 years. And I'm not so sure that Lukashenko won't have some such problematic and such risky movement in such strong and difficult times, like wartime, like situation of this confrontation with Westerns. I think that nothing changed in this 2025.
Okay. So, do you think he considers any of his three sons to take the presidential chair?
You know, it's like in some Russian fairy tale in which you have three sons, and you need to decide. And I think that this youngest one,
Nikolai,
it's one of possibility to don't answer on this question.
But he is too young.
Nikolai is too young. Yeah. How we can to decide between your three? Nikolai is too young. We need to wait for he grow up, and then we can to decide.
I'd rather think on his elder sons. One of them is in KGB structure, something like that. So I'd rather think that he would go that way.
Yeah.
But we still don't know what's in his head.
Some Security Council head and functionary of many structures of power, but I see that. It's not preferable person for Belarusian elite because he is too big hawk. It's very dangerous for such called pigeons inside of system.
I see.
And you know, I think that it's in this condition too. It's not a preferable person because system can going in some disbalance when Viktor Lukashenko come into this chair. And I think that Lukashenko nothing changed in this situation. Just sitting for one more time and trying to
raise Nikolai.
To raise Nikolai.
Change the constitution to make him the president.
Maybe. We look how it can look because you know there's black swans and something so.
Another interesting moment that I mentioned during that interview that Lukashenko called Russia an empire. So what is this? A Freudian slip, or how would you take this?
If you are going on such TV, such interview, you need to say all what audience want to hear. I think that Lukashenko can today say to Russian propaganda that it's empire, and tomorrow he can say for CNN that Russia it's a post-Soviet country with big influence and something so. It's just a question about words. It's not about means. Lukashenko understands exclusive influence of Russia and control Russia of Belarusian economy, social life, and something so. But I understand that Lukashenko looking for this situation like I'm a master in my house and in my home. Okay, not in home, just in this room, or not in this room, just on this chair.
Okay.
But I'm master.
Okay.
Yeah. And he want to show for Russians that okay, you want to be empire. Okay, we'll be empire.
You can be an empire.
Yeah,
okay.
I decide that you are empire and proof that you are empire. It's not problem. You see that in this interview, when you are looking for this interview, every point, you can see that in one point he can say one position, in the second point, the second position,
exactly.
in the third position, and nobody knows the real position of Lukashenko.
Exactly.
Because it's a style of communication.
Exactly, yeah. So, okay, my last question would be, what kind of signal to the West was sent by this interview?
I think that it's nothing special because this interview is directed to Russian audience and Westerns just can see this situation and just looking amazing situation in which yesterday you say one position, today you say second position. But of course, if you are not for 30 years in this history, it's for you it's a little bit tricky. But if you are looking for active of Lukashenko for a long time, you understand that every time he trying to balance between Western and Eastern. Of course, it's very difficult question, very difficult for realization position. But I see that exactly this interview, it's nothing new and it's nothing serious for Westerns. It's not some...
nothing we should pay attention to.
Yeah, it's not something, it's not game-changing interview.
Okay,
It's just an interview for Russians and not for Westerns.
Okay, Andrej, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for this in-depth analysis and hope to see you once again.
Of course, see you.
And I would like to remind our viewers that our guest for today was a human rights activist and head of the Belarus Solidarity Foundation, Andrej Stryzhak. You're watching TVP World. Stay with us.